Bernie Flexon here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by my good friend Tony SIMS, top trainer here at the Matchroom Elite Gym. Tony, how's everything going?
All good, yeah. We're busy at the minute, mate. Everyone seems to be got fight dates, so we're busy this morning.
Joe Cordina's fight date was announced yesterday. He'll be defending his IBF super featherweight title against Edward Vasquez. What do you make of Vasquez as a fighter? He's only had that one defeat, and it was a controversial one against Ray Ford.
Yeah, I watched that fight, and as we know, Ray Ford, he's a very good prospect, good fighter, and I thought Vasquez was a bit unlucky not to get a decision that night, and that's his only defeat. So he's ranked highly in the IBF, and he's got his shot at Cordina's title in Monaco, November the 4th. Be the first defence of Joe's title, and Joe's looking forward to it.
What do you make of those Monaco shows? I know you had Joe on there before. Was it 3-4 years ago now? What do you make of it?
Yeah, they're great shows, and funny enough, I was talking to Joe the other day about it. There's a lot of history in Monaco. Even though you ain't got big crowds there's been some big fights there, like going back to like the 1970s. Carlos Monzon unified his world title against Rodrigo Valdez in Monaco. I think that was his last fight as well. So there's been some big events there, and as you say, Joe boxed there before against the Mexican Tinoco, so he knows what it's all about there, and I really like the shows there. I say to Matchroom, it's like my favourite show of the year. If I've not got someone on there, I normally go and watch the event anyway. So it's a great weekend of boxing. We
saw Joe doing some sparring earlier. Looked really good considering it was his first spar back, but a lot of kind of letting his opponent walk him to the ropes and fighting off the ropes. Is that something you're working on? We know he's very aggressive, Vasquez.
Yeah, no, it was just about Joe getting back into the ring today. He ain't sparred since his last fight, so it was his first spar today, and we've got plenty of time to the fight date, and he was just about wiping a few cobwebs off today and let the opponent throw a lot of punches at him, and defending and just getting the cobwebs off him really. So he done a good little 6 rounds today, and he'll do 6 on Friday as well.
What about longer term plans for Joe? Is it unifying where he is? Is there a chance he might move up again at some point to 135?
Yeah, I think he'd like to unify. I think the fight that he really wants to do is a Navarrete fight. I think he's the big name in the division. He's just beat Valdez. So I think that's the aim that Joe wants to go for that fight, really, a Navarrete fight, and I think it'd be a great fight as well.
There was a lot of talk about Joe fighting Shakur Stevenson until he moved up to lightweight. Is that gone now, or is that still a possibility for the future?
You never know. Obviously, Shakur's up a weight now, and they was having a little to and fro at one time on social, but. Yeah, you never know with that fight, but at the minute, Joe's got to get this defence out of the way. As you say, tough Mexican to beat. And then if the Navarrete fight's there, that's a great fight for Joe as well, and that's a fight that I know Joe wants to do.
And talking of tough fights, you've got Jordan Thompson, only your second fight together, and he's going up for a world title. Clearly very talented, Jordan, always has been, but from where he was fighting Luke Watkins in his last one, it seems a big step up to Jai Opetaia.
Yeah, it's a big step up into world level, and the shot come out of nowhere really, the shot at the title, and it's like I said to him, you'd like to have maybe gone into a couple of more fights before you take this sort of opportunity, but the thing is, when opportunities come round like this, they never come round like this. So you've got to take it. And the thing with Jordan Thompson is, as we know, he can bang with both hands. He's a big banger, and when you're a banger and you're that sort of size, he's like 6'7" as well. He's a big man, and when you've got that advantages over an opponent, you've always got your chances of knocking anybody out, and he will have his chance of knocking Jai Opetaia out, no doubt, in the fight. And sometimes you just got to seize them opportunities and take the shots when they come, and that's exactly what he's done. It's funny enough, he was already in camp as well when the fight came around. He had already done like 6 weeks worth of sparring with Dempsey McKean, so it was just one of them fluky things like a week later after Dempsey's fight, he gets the call about this shot when he'd already done a long camp with Dempsey. So, it's landed for him at the right time.
And Opataya, obviously coming off that broken jaw, hasn't fought, or by the time he gets in, won't have fought for over a year. Is that another advantage as well? He might be a bit wary and a bit rusty.
Yeah, of course, but you can't rely on that. I mean, Opataya is the world champion. He'll be confident coming into the fight. It's a voluntary for him, and whatever injuries happen, I'm sure he's over that now. But Jordan Thompson fancies the fight. He's in fantastic condition, and as I say, he can punch with both hands, and he's a big man.
And you mentioned Dempsey McKean there, obviously came up short against Filip Hrgovic, who's now possibly on the cusp of his world title shot against Usyk. What did you make of Dempsey's performance? Because he seemed to start quite slowly, but then work his way into it maybe a little bit too late.
Yeah, it's another one where Dempsey probably needed a couple of more fights to go into that sort of fight, but an opportunity come upon him to basically fight in a final eliminator for Usyk's title, and you can't turn him down. And he probably come up a bit quick for Dempsey, but I thought he had a good performance against Hrgovic. I mean, a lot of people saying Hrgovic had a terrible performance. A lot of people saying that he never looked good and he won't do well against Usyk. But I think a lot of that was down to Dempsey nullifying what Hrgovic can do. Because when you watch Hrgovic fight, even in the Zhang fight, like he puts combinations together. He starts off with the right hand and he puts 2, 3, 4 together. Whereas against Dempsey, I think Dempsey nullified what he was doing. It made him a little bit of a boring fight, but I think he done the job what he needed to do. And obviously he got caught in the last round, and that was that. But I think he can take a lot of advantages away from that fight, in that he went in with a #1 contender in the world, and it was before he was ready really, and he put up a good fight, and that will stand him in good stead for his next fight in his career.
Now, you've got John Ryder, of course. My colleague Radio Raheem spoke to him a couple of weeks ago. Still seems intent on the Golovkin fight. Has there been any progress in that area, or another fight for John?
No, there's been no progress in that area. I don't know whether Golovkin will fight again, to be honest with you, but there's a couple of names banding around at the moment, big names. I won't say who they are, but he's in deep negotiations for one of them fights. So I think one will come off for him before Christmas, and we'll see John in another big fight, probably over in America.
Can you give us a hint of what might be at stake or anything like that?
He'll probably be like a final eliminator or something. You know what I mean? So he could be in a winning the fight. He could be back in with Canelo again.
Now, you're not known for your trash talk. You're not someone who's overly active on social media, but I saw a clip not long ago, you with Conor Benn on the pads, and you were talking about Chris Eubank Jr, presumably, while you were doing the pad work. What brought that about? It's not your usual style.
No, I think there's been a lot of talk about Eubank Ben, and I think we're coming closer to that point now. I know that there's negotiations underway at the moment for a fight, and we're just coming closer to it, and I think it's a fight that obviously Conor wants and Eubank wants, and I think the frustrations over the last year and a half are probably coming out in Conor now that he's getting nearer to the fight. Obviously he needs a warm-up fight first, what we're talking about at the moment, and I think we will see that fight materialise.
Where is that fight likely to be? That seems to be the biggest question at the moment among fans and pundits, because Conor at the moment doesn't have a British licence. Are you planning to apply for one so it happens here, not here in the gym, but here in the UK? Or would you like to see it abroad perhaps?
Maybe. He's got an American licence, so he can basically fight anywhere in the world now. As you know, his suspension's been lifted, so he's free to fight anywhere in the world. I mean, he can fight here, but he obviously have to apply to the board to be a foreign fighter here. So, I don't know where the fight's going to be, because that's not my job. But obviously Matchroom will put the fight on, and you know, that fight will happen. As I say, Conor needs a warm-up fight first, so that's what we're working on at the minute.
How frustrating has it been that the ban, or the suspension rather, was lifted, but then the board and UCAD have both appealed, so it just adds more time to it potentially?
Well, they're saying they've appealed, but we don't know yet whether their appeal will go through or not. Do you know what I mean? They're saying they've appealed, so let's see what happens there.
But with all the delay at their end, it must make it harder to know whether to apply for a British licence or apply as a foreign fighter to fight here, because you've got to wait for whatever they're doing.
I just think, like, what I'm concentrating on at the minute is just getting a Conor out, getting him into maybe a 10 rounder next, and then we'll start thinking about that afterwards. But he's free to fight anywhere anyway now.
How would you feel about Conor going straight in with Eubank without that warm-up fight?
I'd like him to get a warm-up fight first, really. That's not an ideal situation, just to go straight into that fight. And, you know, Conor knows that, and Matchroom know that. And obviously, as a trainer, it's important when you've been out of the ring for 18 months to get a fight under your belt before you're looking at big fights like that.
And talking about the last 18 months, we know how frustrating and difficult it's been for Conor. What's it been like for you? Because people have taken one incident or one report and they've cast aspersions over the gym, and you've been in the game a long time. Nothing like this has ever happened to you before. How has it affected you?
Yeah, it affected me massively at first. You know, as you say, like, I've been in the gym for 26 years now, and that's the first time it's happened to me, and it affected me a lot. But listen, you can't just keep listening to what everyone says and what everyone thinks, because you'd never go forward in life. And you know, it happened. Conor's been up on 2 separate occasions against two bodies and won both cases, so he's clear to fight, and that's what he's going to do. And it's just about training to fight now, and you know, getting his career back on track, and that's what I'm, you know, that's what we're doing in the gym. We're just training to fight, and he'll be ready whenever now.
And you're obviously his trainer, but what's it been like doing the other side of the training role recently, like mentoring him, shepherding him through this crisis or upset or whatever you want to call it? He's obviously needed a bit of an arm around the shoulder. Yeah,
and you know, he went through a really, really difficult time at first, and obviously a lot of people was on his back. You know, a lot of people was crucifying people that you thought was actually friends was crucifying him, and you know, he never had that opportunity to go under the radar like a lot of the fighters go under the radar, and you know, fight his case. You know, if he'd have gone, you know, if he could have fought his case and got cleared, then there wouldn't have been, you know, there wouldn't have been so many people. But people are still talking about it now, like you're talking about it now still. Every time you speak to someone, people are still talking about it now. So that's why I want him to fight, so they talk about him fighting and not keep talking about this, because his is the only name that really gets brought up. You don't really hear the other names being brought up. So I just want to get back into the ring and get fighting again, so people are talking about Conor Benn's career again.
And when Eubank Benn was first likely to happen, it was going to be at 158, was it, or 157?
Yeah.
Now, from what Conor said recently, he's happy to fight him at 160. Have you got any concerns about that?
No, I mean, there weren't no concerns about it in the first place. Believe it or not, it was Eubank who come to us with that weight, not us who went to him, because the fight was trying to be made, and I think he thought that it weren't going to be made, so he come to us with that weight. I didn't go to him. Frank Smith said to me, listen, we can do a Eubank fight. He said he can make 157, so I went, all right. Yeah. If he'd have said 158, 159, I'd have said all right. Yeah. So, you know, and I never mentioned the weight. That was mentioned to me. So, so that's how it first come. That's how the fight first ever come about. That's how I was approached about it. But if it's 160, it's 160. I think Conor Benn will fight at 154 next anyway. So, we'll see.
Do you think his welterweight days are over, regardless of what the next fight is?
No, I don't. I don't think he's welterweight. I think he can make welterweight. But obviously, a long period out the ring is not necessary to get down to welterweight at a minute. And if the fight after this is going to be at middleweight, then I think to fight at light middle 154 will put him in good stead.
And just finally, one of the names that's long been associated with your gym was, of course, Felix Cash. From what we've heard, and you can confirm or deny, he's moved on now, amicably as far as I'm aware. Just a few words on him and his time here.
Yeah, Felix was down here a long time with me, and you know, we just decided to part in the end, as you say, amicably. I wish him all the best. I don't actually know where he's training at the moment, but as I say, I wish him the best for the future.
Brilliant. Tony, always a pleasure, mate. Cheers.